record on this computer.
Very good. We appreciate everybody joining us tonight. This is the kickoff of the 2021 Utica Roadrunner Speaker Series. Tonight we're joined by Stephen Paddock, calling in from his home in Glastonbury, Connecticut.
Kind of.
Close enough, it's Connecticut. A lot of us probably calling in from central New York, Utica area. I'm in my home in Mohawk, New York, the center of the universe. And we'll get rolling here. We'll throw in a little Utica Roadrunner administrative stuff. It's time to renew your memberships. Don't forget to do that. We have an amazing publication called Split Time that you all should be reading and storing under your pillow regularly and totally parsing out. It's a phenomenal publication, award-winning, I believe, I've heard before. And then, as we were kind of describing earlier, the events to be rolled out are still sort of in flux based on everything that's going on, but we're working hard to figure out what we are going to put on the calendar and what we're going to be able to offer. Obviously, with a bunch of great virtual events in the hopper ready to go for everybody. So, Stephen, thanks for joining us. Stephen's old school Utica Roadrunner back to probably your teen days. Started out running cross country and done a lot of interesting things since. So that's why we asked you to join us today. I guess give us just a quick history of, a little bit of running. And I also love your gray Utica Roadrunner shirt that was always really dirty. So if you can sneak that in there somewhere, I'm sure that'd be appreciated.
I'll be have to get it, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, so I started running in 10th grade of high school, not on any teams or anything. And that'd be 2010. And it was really because my mom was like the only person in our family that ever had run, and she started doing the Boilermaker, and then eventually dragged my brother off to do the development runs on like Wednesdays on the Parkway. And my first ever run was finally agreeing to go with them. And I was going to do the 2-mile, but one of my friend's dads, who was a member of the Utica Roadrunners, bet me a Subway sub that I couldn't beat him in the 10K. So my first run, for the sake of running, was actually the 10K of the development runs right on the Parkway. So I kind of just did my own thing for a year, just running odd races here and there. And I did the Boilermaker, which I think was my first official race. And then in 11th grade, I actually finally signed up for cross country. And, really that's when I started to really fall in love with the sport of running. I was the 5th man on our team, and it was a really good experience to, be part of the team and be like the last person that gets to score, even though I wasn't the first person. It was really nice to know that I still counted very much so, because you're only as good as your 5, really your 7 top runners. I'm not sure what times I was running, but it was maybe like 19 minutes for a 5K or something like that. Moving into senior year, I just improved a little bit more. Still not phenomenal, but still really just liking and loving the sport of running. When I first got into running, I was actually really drawn to the longer distance stuff. So running 5K, I wanted to do a little bit more. And in November of my senior year of high school, I actually ran my first marathon, which is, pretty young to run a marathon. As 18 years old, I needed to be, I just turned 18, and I needed to do that in order to sign the waiver. I went through mile 20 on pace to break 3 hours in my first marathon, and at mile 23 collapsed on the side of the road and I finished, but it took me 3 hours and 58 minutes. So it was a little bit of a learning curve there, but apparently I forget easily because I ran another marathon the February after that. Upon graduating from high school, I attended Mohawk Valley Community College in Utica for 2 years to pursue engineering science. And I ran cross country, indoor and outdoor track there, and really enjoyed the experience because, the bond with the team is something that, like, the bond with a cross country team is unlike any other. I'd really suggest, if any high school athletes are listening right now, if you're able to keep up the academics and want to run cross country, I would highly suggest you do that, because just the courses of cross country and the team atmosphere is like unbeatable. So I ran at MV for 2 years. I was actually able to run in the National Junior College Championships. So it's not like NCAAs, but at least it's still a national competition, which is pretty fun. Get to see people from around the country and race against them on cross country and track. Unfortunately, all the years I was at MV, they were all hosted really close. I think they were all in either New York or Massachusetts, so I didn't get to travel much. Then at the end of MV, like the summer after MV, I started getting into ultras quite a bit. I ran a couple 50Ks, started doing some of like the ultra endurance relay races, the Peak to Brew race. And probably most notably, my friend John and I, we set out to do all of the 46 high peaks in the Adirondacks within that summer of 2015. And that was a lifelong, not to do it in one summer, but to do it eventually was like a lifelong goal of mine, because my dad had done it when I was a kid. But John just gave me the nudge to do it all in the summer. So it was really an intense summer of running 6 to 10 hours on average 2 times a week. And when I say running, it was hiking and running whenever we could, plus a 6-hour round trip car ride back home. So I think that kind of taught me a lot of resilience and never to give up, because there was a lot of times where I didn't want to run anymore, but I had to get back to my car. And I think it really built a lot of strength that's allowed me to do what I can do today in regards to mileage volume. After MV, I transferred to Clarkson University to pursue mechanical engineering, where I still ran cross country there. They don't have an indoor and outdoor track because there's no such thing as spring there, so they can't have a track season. And I started getting a lot more serious about running when I was at Clarkson, and I think I ran pretty well, nothing outstanding, but I would say pretty well. And I was able to go to the regional championship my senior year, which was nice. I was, I think, our 6th man. I almost was our 5th, but my friend out sprinted me. I don't know if he's here, but he'll be laughing if he is. And I also did Nordic skiing when I was at Clarkson. That was more just for fun. I suck at it. So upon graduating from Clarkson, my wife and I, Shelby, we moved to Connecticut because we both got jobs there. And I think for probably the year after graduating, I didn't stop running, but I kind of wasn't making any progress. And in 2018, I kind of I guess I should back up and say that like a lifelong dream of mine was to qualify for the Olympic trials for the marathon, which is a pretty, I think, good and difficult goal to achieve. And I started to realize that if I was not training to a higher level, that I wasn't going to just magically qualify for those trials. I was just going to watch my goal slip away. So I actually ended up hiring a coach and worked with them for 6 months to build up my weekly mileage to that's more typical of like a sub-elite marathoner, and kind of understand the philosophies a little bit more of training. And I think that's really helped me out a lot because since probably starting with them, I have grown quite a bit. I'm now self-coached, but since then, I've had really like a lot of success with the running, and I guess that's where I am today.
And I guess, do I recall, when you're running college sports, whatever, the coach has a little bit of say about what you do on the weekends or some suggestions. Then usually they want you kind of closer to the training of the team. I mean, maybe the statute of limitations is up here. Do I recall you running maybe under a different name and maybe doing ultra marathons on the weekend outside of your?
I never ran under another name, but I definitely did. Luckily, my coach was also an ultra marathoner, so he kind of understood. But
so you're supposed to be training for like 5 miles, and you're going out doing 50 milers on the weekend. And
well, I never did a 50 miler, and I never would train. I would never do any large races during season. The only time I ever got close was I did do a 50K the day before preseason started, which was great.
I mean, you got to shock the system a little, right?
Yeah.
You got to be ready to go. That's awesome. And so, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there, right, that we won't have time to get into. But I guess what's one or two accomplishments you're relatively proud of in any sense, whether it's achievement or learning lessons?
Yeah, I guess I am pretty happy with like just in general, my like self-discipline and being able to train and coach myself and hold myself accountable and know that just taking the easy way out on a given workout isn't going to help me. It might let me relax at the given time, but in all honesty, at the end of the day, my goal is to be a fast runner. And like I said, qualify for the Olympic trials at some point, hopefully. And just bombing out on workouts all the time because I'm lazy isn't going to help. So that's one. But if I were to point at like a particular event, it would be the Philly Marathon in 2019, where I actually had a really big jump in my PR in the marathon, and by almost, I think, 13 minutes, and actually ran a 2 hours and 23 minutes and 15 seconds for the marathon, which I was very happy with and still pretty happy with. I did go on, I think I'm more happy about the way how I performed like mentality wise in that race than my actual time. Because I was so strong, and I mean, I did have a higher or like a faster goal than that, which was to qualify for the Olympic trials. But I was able, when I knew that that day wasn't the day, I was able to turn around and still have what I would consider a very good race. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that big of a PR already at that level is pretty serious business. Just kind of, if you briefly want to outline your approach to training now, what that kind of looks like. You don't have to get too far into it, but like, how do you plan and maybe set? Because a lot of these things have sort of longer time frames, and it really takes a lot for you, I assume, to assemble sort of a well thought out plan. So what's that look like?
Yeah. So I basically started training plan out. Well, I should say I'm 99.9% focused on the marathon. So all of my reference right now are going to be getting ready for a marathon. So I'd set a training plan roughly somewhere between 16 to 20 weeks out from what I would consider my peak goal race for a season. So that's typically twice a year, once in late spring and once in late fall would be a marathon. And I'll generally progress from, what I would consider like strength style workouts or speed style workouts in the beginning, and slowly morph then into more race specific work towards the end. Because really at the end of that 16 to 20 weeks, I really only have to be good at one thing, and that's running marathon pace for 26.2 miles. I think that the initial, building stage of building up mileage and building up speed and strength gives you a great foundation for the race specific stuff that is to come. I usually break my training plan into 4-week segments, where I'd run at what I would consider full volume, like full mileage volume for 3 weeks, and then take a rest week to allow my body and mainly my mind to recover from the 3 weeks of difficult training. And I'd keep the same frequency of workouts and the same intensity of them, but I'll reduce the volume to 70 to 80%. And that's kind of the macro point of view of what of like kind of my training philosophy. It's obviously gets a lot more involved in there with specific workouts and kind of the goals of each specific workout. From a micro point of view, I actually could show you. I do have it. Can I do a screen share? Is that?
Maybe.
Let me try it.
Do you see your green button at the bottom?
I see. I got it.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah. So
Stephen did allude to being an engineer, so you may not be surprised to seeing a spreadsheet with a lot of numbers in it.
Yeah. So here's a little glimpse at where I house all of my training. This is all of the secrets.
This is the secret sauce right here.
Yeah. So I just scrolled back to this is just a typical training week. Monday. I can't. Hold on. I gotta minimize this thing because I can't see. All right. So actually a bulk of my training is a lot of easy mileage, just getting time on legs and allowing myself to recover from harder workouts. So you'll see really the only high intensity workouts would be on Tuesday, Friday, and sometimes on Sunday. So I guess I'll point out just a couple like key things that are staples in my training plan, which would be right here. 10 by 10 second hill. I don't know why I called it strides. Usually it's 10 by 10 second hill sprints, but apparently in this given week I went to, it was strides. I typically do these short hill sprints 1 to 2 times a week, and just to strengthen my my cat, just to strengthen like all the tendons or ligaments, I'm not sure what they're called in the knees, to just help prevent injury. And one thing I like to keep in mind, or should warn anyone maybe taking advice from me to keep in mind, is that this is very high intensity, like load onto your legs. So even for me, when I'm restarting a new training block, I start from only doing 5 by 8 second hill sprints, and then I'll build up by 1 rep per day that I'm doing them. Just because I'd rather be a little bit short on the amount of training I'm doing and stay healthy rather than overtrain or, stress my muscles a little bit too much. I'll do a workout on Tuesday morning. I don't have any rhyme or reason of whether it's like a track workout or a speed workout or a hill workout, but it'll land on a Tuesday. I do a midweek long run on Wednesday, which I normally have bulk easy mileage, and then I put a small progression at the end. One thing that I've been starting to do a lot, typically on a Thursday, is just easy mileage over hills where I don't look at pace at all. I just kind of chug up and down hills. And like I think that builds a lot of strength and helps me in the long run. And it's kind of fun to watch your elevation profile. I'll do another workout on Friday. Saturday is my easy day. And then Sunday is a long run. And I typically like to make it more difficult for myself and add a workout in there. And that's a lot of times where I'll see the most marathon specific workouts. One thing you'll notice about my week is that I run twice a day, 4 days a week. That seems a little excessive, but apparently I'm excessive when it comes to mileage. When you're looking at this, it might seem like it's a lot, but you could take these same like principles and scale them down to whatever you're happy to run. You can still have the same, easy workout, medium long, easy workout schedule, something like that for your 5-day week, but it doesn't necessarily have to have that much mileage. One thing I should point out is that I started doing, you'll see it on this, I have it labeled as additional workouts down here, is like these additional workouts to act as like preventative measures and strength routines. Not much, because I already am a little bit limited on time by the amount of running I do. But something I think just to help like overall wellness and help prevent injury, even if it's just a minuscule amount. And when I say Myrtle routine, just Google it. It's like a 10-minute routine that's on the lower extremities to help strengthen them. And I guess it's good for injury prevention. And I'm starting to do yoga with Shelby.
Serious business.
No. So that's kind of the gist of my training. I was sure I glossed over it way faster than made sense. There's a lot more intricacies in there, and if anyone has any questions, they can sure let me know in a bit.
Yeah, it's cool. Thanks for the detail. Appreciate you sharing that. And then, I know like, so that's all the running, right? But like, I know you take rest like very seriously from a sleep, like a daily sleep perspective. Like you told us, you have to get off here very promptly because it's bedtime around 8:30. You're pretty consistent with that type of thing, right? For a lot of years, it's been built into it.
Definitely. I'm starting to understand the importance of rest, I mean, that's why I incorporated, every 4th week is a down week, because when I try to go 4 or 5 weeks without a down week, I just noticed that my body, like I'm not performing to what I should be doing. I'm actually worse off, rather than if I just took the rest, I'd be better off in the long run.
Yeah. And then, so training, right? Rest. And then how do you approach your nutrition? What does that look like? I know you've been eating very clean for almost all your running.
Yeah, at least I like to think that. I mean, I guess like the main buzzword for my diet is like plant-based or vegan. And but all the haters like to point out, well, Oreos are vegan and French fries are vegan. So it doesn't necessarily mean healthy just to say you're plant-based, because you can eat a bunch of junk food, especially nowadays. So I actually have like what I consider like a higher level like diet or like an overarching diet where plant-based is just kind of like a subcategory, or just due to the nature of that overarching diet, it actually is a plant-based diet. And that's really consistent with a book called Thrive by Brendan Brazier. It's just mainly like a really clean version of a plant-based diet. And really like the main principle of the Thrive diet, I guess is what I'll call it, is reducing what's it called again? Uncomplimentary stress on the body. Pretty much that's just stress that is, I guess, put on the body that doesn't do any good. Exercise is a form of stress, but obviously we're not going to argue that exercise is bad for you if you're doing it at a reasonable amount. Eating processed foods, for example, actually stresses the body in the way that the adrenal glands secrete cortisol, like the hormone called cortisol, into the bloodstream, and it just elevates your ability, like your reaction time, something like that. So if you ever think about when you're running down the road and a dog barks and you all of a sudden become more alert, that's because more cortisol has been injected, I guess, into your bloodstream at, a very unscientific description of that. And that comes from a primal, like from our ancestral beings when they were, say, being attacked by like a wolverine or something like that. They'd be able to, run away and be high alert to find safety. That's a good thing.
Yeah, with the nutrition, basically you're saying like, this is a place where you can control and reduce stress on your body, knowing that all stress is kind of cumulative for your body. So if you can reduce it there with a cleaner diet, that's kind of what you've been working on. And like in high school, didn't you used to eat like Ziploc bags full of rice and beans? Like, do I remember those stories accurately?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I did that all throughout college.
So it doesn't have to be.
When I was like hiking and didn't have like proper Tupperware.
It's great. And then like, it was interesting how many runs on that sheet, did say easy, right? Like, so like, how do you, because some people I know like get a lot of stress, like actual mental stress out of their training. Like how do you keep it fun and keep motivated? And what does that look like for you? Or, is there runs with friends or special places or like, how does that look like?
Yeah. Well, so in regards to like getting, you said like I have the easy running and that could still be stressful. Something that I've definitely learned along the road is that, or I guess would definitely recommend for anyone, is when you prescribe an easy run, you don't actually really care about pace. Pace doesn't really matter. It's just time on legs. So whenever I have anything written as easy, I don't ever look at my watch. I just run whatever my body thinks easy is. And, that way I'm not stressing out about if I'm running, 6:45 per mile or if I'm running 7:30 per mile. It's just what my body feels like. And in regards to like fun and stuff, I mean, it's kind of a cop-out answer, but I just love to run. And I don't listen to headphones or anything while I run. And really that's because I've just learned that running is an opportunity to like experience all the things that are around you. Getting up in the morning and getting to, watch the sunrise is something I noticed this week. Is something that not a lot of people got to see because they weren't out running. I've just learned that, that's just something that I like to do. And sorry, damn cat. She's a nuisance. And,
No, you're a good kitty.
But yeah, it makes it pretty easy when you just put in the grand scheme of things that like, I just love to run and I don't need something to force me out the door aside from the run itself.
Yeah, and like you said there, I mean, when it says easy, mentally kind of letting yourself off the hook and letting a little pressure go, like you're not mentally pushing yourself to the brake like every single run, you're giving that relax even though you're still running, which I think is a really important kind of lesson. How have you weathered difficulty and things like that, like injury, setbacks, like how have you approached that kind of from a mindset level?
Oh, so in regards, I haven't gotten injured that often, but I have gotten injured very recently. I somehow made it like 9 years of my running career without getting injured a single time. And I got injured twice in the year of 2020. So it was a real great year for me. So kind of to my comfort is none of them, like the root cause of neither of them were from running, but running, 100 miles a week definitely like exacerbated it and made it worse. But it ended up being like a sciatic nerve injury that sourced from sitting in a really uncomfy chair when we started working from home. And really, I guess it happening in 2020, everyone kept telling me like, hey, at least this is the year for it to happen. And yeah, I guess I am glad, but it did also kind of make it even worse because then I didn't have like all the fun stuff you normally get to do, but then I also didn't get to run. So it was a little sucky. But I kind of just worked through it. And it's kind of the same thing with COVID and not being able to race. My goals as a runner aren't the next 6 months. They aren't the next 12 months. It's really, like I said, hitting that Olympic trial standard before 2024 and being able to compete in the Olympic trials. So I always just, in order to get through this injury, I know I'm going to get better from it. And I know I can still rebuild whatever, fitness I lost. I just look at that end picture of where I want to be in a few years from now. I really only see the next, 6 months as a building block to get to that. And especially once I got over the injury, even though there wasn't a race, that doesn't mean I still can't build up those blocks to get me towards my end goal in a few years from now. I can still do all the marathon training without the marathon. The marathon's just like, I think I've heard it's just like the cherry on top, the 14-hour running weeks is the stuff that gets you to finally running that goal time. I just have to wait a little bit to be able to do a marathon and, get that cherry on top.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I had a question on future, but you kind of hit it there, which, working towards that 2024, and just kind of maintaining your effort in your training and that, which that's almost probably a little pressure relieving too, to have that longer vision of a longer term goal, and knowing that each day kind of adds up over the long term.
Yeah.
Couple little more rapid fire ones here. Like, what's a favorite event or events, and maybe why?
I feel like I'm obligated to say the Boilermaker because I'm on a Utica Roadrunners call.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
well, it's definitely true. The Boilermaker, I don't know. I can't say I have a favorite event, but Boilermaker is definitely maybe like tied for favorite because of I get to go home and see all of my family and friends and everyone that I grew up running with. I mean, if I'm gonna, I'll find and then I'll tell you a small town favorite race is probably the Casanova foot race, the 10 miles, but then probably overall favorite race would probably be Boston Marathon. Just because I've held it to such high regard and it took me years to finally qualify.
Yeah. Maybe you forgot the skeleton run and the summer
And the
sizzle.
Skeleton Run, Summer Sizzle.
Yeah. Okay.
Town Half Marathon.
Maybe we'll edit this out and try that again. So a lot of good running books, right? You mentioned Thrive as the kind of food related book or nutrition related book, but any other favorite running books you've read, and maybe, what did you learn from that if some of us are slackers and don't feel like reading?
Yeah, I guess probably the most influential book that I've read for me was Eat and Run by Scott Jurek. That's the whole reason, one of the main reasons why I started looking at like a plant-based diet. And that's also the reason why I was really obsessed with ultras from the start, because Scott Jurek is like the ultra running god, in my opinion. He won Western States 7 years in a row. There's a couple other running books I love, like Duel in the Sun. I think it's an autobiography by Dick Beardsley. Kings of the Road, I think Mr. Mott still has my copy of it. And it's not an exclusively running book, but one of my favorite all-time reads is Iron War, which it's by Matt Fitzgerald, which follows Dave Scott and Mark Allen in their like 15-year plus battle at the Kona Ironman.
Nice. And any particular product that's maybe impacted you? I know sometimes people overreach for products, and I know you're kind of a minimalist in running a little bit, but maybe you've reached for things that have been beneficial.
Yeah. I don't know the science behind it, but I definitely have started using, I definitely have seen an increase in performance when using Morton products for gels and like pre-race fueling. I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I guess it's like I guess it optimizes the amount of carbohydrates you can ingest in the gel, but that might just be marketing. If it's placebo, it works for me. I also like half tights. I've been wearing those lately. They're nice.
Nice. What else? Just looking at my notes. I always love the question, if you could put anything on a billboard, what would it be? I've asked you this before, but I always love the answers that people come up with. So billboard, tell the world something amazing. What do you put up there?
Yeah. Yeah, you asked me this question before. I'm like, I can't remember what I told you. Anyways, I'm going to use my normal go-to, I'm going to call it a mantra, because this is what I think about very often, is that progress is a series of small decisions. I'm going to keep using my goal of Olympic trials qualifier for this, but if I'm faced with a decision, I basically just break it down to a binary yes or no. Isn't going to help me move towards my goal of running a certain time. And if it's yes, then I'll do it, and if it's no, then I won't do it. I mean, sometimes I don't follow by that. Sometimes I eat like the chocolate cake or something like that, because I get crazy, or vegan nog over the holidays. But in general, kind of using that basic principle, it's helped me be able to make what I would consider the right decision. Sometimes it's the hard decision, to go out at 6 a.m. when it's pouring rain and 40 degrees out to do a 16-mile long run, because progress is a series of small decisions. That small decision might seem like, hey, I could just rest this day, but it's going to add up over the long run.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. And then, you're obviously running at a pretty serious level. What would you have to offer to someone maybe just starting out? And obviously a lot of stuff you've already said is useful, but do you have anything addition to add there? Is, how do we get rolling? How do we get moving? Maybe folks are new to running. And it's just, what advice do you give them?
Yeah, really what I'd say is most people have a hard time with just getting out the door. It's very rare that you run out the door, you get out the door and then you are upset that you ran. Shelby didn't want to run tonight. I said, you're going to have fun once you start running. And we finally ran. She's probably cringing at me. She's yelling at me. She just looked at me. Anyways, so really what you need to do is create running as a habit. So you know how many days a week you want to run. And I guess in order to have some type of habit, you want to create some type of cue to start the habit. So say you want to run after you get home from work, having walking through your door be the cue that you have to start running, and just have that become an automatic thing. In order to make it easier for you, look up the weather the day before and set out running clothes. So you don't even have to think. You just walk through the door and say, oh, there's my cue to go run. This is something I do often because even though I run a lot, I'm still kind of lazy. I know when I wake up, I have 30 to sometimes I slack and get 45 minutes to get out the door because otherwise I'll just like dawdle around until I don't have enough time to run. Similarly, when work's done, we've got like a 20-minute buffer between when we stop running and, when we stop working and start running. So it's really just make running a habit, move things out of the way that are going to prevent you from running. And it's really just kind of yourself, talking yourself out of that run is the big thing.
Right. Yeah. Kind of creating that subconscious habit and set up for success, right? Like it just flows towards doing it, right? You don't have to fight with the dresser or like pick out what to wear. Awesome. I think that's all I had for you, Stephen. I appreciate you imparting all of this wisdom and sharing your story with us. And we wish you a ton of luck going forward. And we certainly are proud of you and your accomplishments. And I guess at this point, we can open it to any questions if folks had any.
Dangerous.
Open it to the floor. And Zoom's always weird, and it takes a minute for people to find the mute button and things like that. So,
that's a good question. So, can you hear me, Steve?
Yeah. Oh, it's Andrew. Okay. Yeah.
It's Andrew. I'm still here.
Be careful with this one.
Yeah, I got you, buddy. Don't worry. So, if you had to pick 5 songs for a playlist that are going to get you through to your Olympic trials qualification, to get you pumped up before your race, what are you picking?
Shelby's laughing.
They all Dave?
No. They're not all Dave. She knows Dr. Funk by One Time Weekend. They're a local band in Connecticut. You should look it up.
Hey, I saw your text.
I sent that today. Dr. Funk by One Time Weekend. Jesus, we're gonna waste so much time with me thinking about songs. Some type of Dave song, some type of, I don't know, heavy metal song if I'm feeling hardcore.
Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Gosh, maybe a couple Rush songs. I'm just naming out bands that I like right now. Jack Johnson, but he's not gonna pump me up to do anything. It just makes me want to like take my shoes off and sit on a beach. Go with anything from Rush and One Time Weekend. Look them up. All right.
it's a good question. I'm adding that to like next time we talk.
Steve, did you win that sub?
I never got this. I won it. I won it, but I have not claimed it yet. So,
Gotcha.
Mr. Harry, if you're out there, I'll take my sub from Subway. it took me like 50 plus minutes to run the 5. I had to, or probably even longer. I had to walk quite a bit. That golf course is pretty rough, as I'm sure
Yes,
some.
it is.
Who else? Who do the other folks have? Feel free to jump in. It's Stephen.
Stephen,
So,
who are some people that really who really pushed you when you were with the Roadrunners?
oh, that's a very easy question. Rich Cohen was like one of the predominant runners in the CNY area when I started running, and I kind of glazed over my whole road running experience as a, in high school and early college. But I used to just, all I did was race. I didn't train. I just raced Saturday, Sunday, and then I did the development run on Wednesday, which I treated like a race. And at a lot of those, I would see Rich Cohen, and he was always someone that I always chased after. And I don't think I ever caught him. I might have beaten him in like one race. I know there was one time where I was my first time ever doing the Heart Run 30K. He passed me at 15K after I went out guns blazing and was just dead. It was the farthest I'd ever run. And Rich, but yeah, Rich was probably my biggest, person that pushed me as a, in my formative years of running in the Utica Roadrunners.
To follow that up, he's hurt and doesn't run anymore. And when you get to be our age, and you've been hearing these things before, does it scare you logging all the miles that you won't be able to run when you're older?
I definitely would like to run when I'm older, and I've definitely have been asked this many times. But I feel like if I were to take all the precautions and run less miles, I would be giving up on, like my dream, which, it's not like I'm going to the Olympics, but it's at least to qualify for something that not a lot of people get to qualify for. So I kind of see it as reasonable, the risk that, maybe all of this running might mean that I can't run forever. But I've kind of written that off as okay, because at least I was able to pursue what was really important to me when I had my time running. That being said, though, I think building up mileage incrementally, eating healthy, and trying to generally be smart will help me last a little bit longer. I'm sure that's what everyone else said before, when they were younger. But yeah, I guess that's the best I can answer that one.
That's a good answer. And yes, I still have your book.
Okay. I probably have one of yours, so.
You probably do.
Very cool. Anybody out there in Zoom land want to hit Stephen up, or feel free?
I got another question for you.
Sure.
Bye.
We got to grill you, man. I haven't talked to you in how long? But so what's the longest period of time that you've gone without running or training at all? Really? Have you ever fallen out of it in a big way?
Without running, in the past 10 years, I don't think probably back in high school, I didn't run that much in the summer, aside from, like I said, 2 races a weekend and one development run that I treated like a race on the Wednesday. But I don't think there's ever really been that long of a time, especially in, the last 6+ years where I've taken that much time off. I definitely have, like I said, the year after graduating college, I was still running a decent amount, but I wasn't doing any training. I didn't really have any guidance, like even self-guidance. I just was running for the sake of it, which is fine. I think I haven't really taken that much time off.
Fair.
Very cool. Good questions. Who else?
Hey, Steve, I'll ask you one.
There you go.
So you're obviously focusing mostly on the marathon right now, and as Rick alluded to, you dabbled in some of the longer races. Is that something, say after 4 more years or at any point you'd want to dabble in again, or do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, definitely. Ultra running is kind of where I started my fascination with running, and I definitely say a lot of it still lies there. But kind of going back to this all-out goal I keep talking about for the Olympic trials is, you know, I don't know the exact stats, but right around, I think 27 to I think 33 is peak marathon training. Not saying that you can't be a great marathoner after that, but in order to really squeeze out every like inch of potential is kind of in that time frame. I didn't want to, or so there's that. I didn't want to, you know, run out of time. And if I were to do ultra running, it's a lot of slow, easy mileage that I didn't want to take away. I didn't want to spend too large of a percentage of my time doing that and focusing for long stuff when I have, you know, hopefully, you know, 30 plus years to do that after I work on like 10 years of focused marathon training. So yes, that was a long way to say yes.
Nice. And I guess on top of that, somewhat related, like, what is your favorite type of run? Like a hard workout or more an ultra, super long, kind of just be out somewhere?
I like long runs that start easy and get very difficult, especially when I finish them on pace, because then I feel really good. But necessarily running somewhere slightly slower than marathon pace for a while is kind of my thing. I'm not that quick compared to most like sub-elite athletes, but I can run at a somewhat quick pace for a long time. So I really enjoy that. Sorry.
Stephen,
What's up?
you're lucky to have Shelby.
Mm-hmm.
How do you balance all of the running with work and everything else that you do?
Yeah. Well, so work has been really nice because now I work from home. I don't know how long that's going to last for. I guess COVID will decide. But as far as like a relationship point of view, Shelby obviously has been a runner, or not, I guess I shouldn't say obvious, but obvious to me that she's been a runner for longer than I have been. And, you know, after college, she kind of stopped for a little bit, waiting for the door to come open. And, but really, in order to kind of justify running that longer and because we wanted to, she started running with me. So my evening runs we actually do together, and we just run whatever her plan is. Sometimes we actually write a training plan for her to do to train for a race, and I'll do her runs with her. And so it allows me to get in that extra mileage that I'd like, but it also allows us to spend time together. I think it's very good quality time together, because if anyone knows, if you have like a coworker, I'm not calling Shelby a coworker, but you know, someone that you have a relationship with outside of running and you go on a run with them, you know, it's kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but it's a whole different way you can converse just because you're in the rhythm of running. So that's being one, is incorporating her into my actual running routine and being able to spend time and run together. But then also, if I have like a crappy workout in the morning, I've been really adamant about, you know, keeping that outside of our door and just making sure I'm fully present upon coming in, because as much as I might be upset if I run poorly later on, Shelby doesn't care. I still have, you know, I still have to be a good husband, and I still want to be a good husband at the end of the day, because that's really what matters. And having her as, like, I guess I'll say my rock, to have some type of cheesy line, is really what's important. And without her support, I probably wouldn't be able to do as much as I do as a runner. She didn't open the door angrily during any of that. So I think
You answered that like a
Thanks,
champ.
dear.
Well, it's probably a good spot to end it, Stephen. I think we've
Oh,
covered
wow.
a lot of bases. I am trying to, I've seen at least 4 cats. I'm trying to see if there's more Paddocks than cats on this call. 1, 2, 3. The Paddock cat ratio is pretty strong in this Zoom call, but anyway.
Mine's lurking around.
Yeah, I saw Michelle had a cat, Stephen had a cat, so it's good. That's what makes Zoom awesome.
Is that the pet of choice for runners or the cats? Because the cats don't care if you leave for a couple days on a run. They'll be there when you get back.
I've always been a dog person, but our cat's so good. Yeah, she's pretty awesome.
You can't run with your cat, Michelle.
Well, not yet.
My cat, we call it. She's a zoomer. She goes for 10-second sprints faster than lightning, and then it's done. She's exhausted.
Yep.
She thinks I'm a weirdo for going out running. We have a personality for our cat that I make up. I'm probably telling more than I should.
Well, awesome. Thanks a lot, Stephen. We appreciate the time as always. Jim, any parting words for Stephen or anybody else?
Yeah, I'll pop in. I want to thank Michelle for hosting everything with the Zoom. So, Michelle, thank you for all you do.
Of course.
Andrew he's raising the roof for you right there. That's it, brother.
Thank you.
Rick, thanks for emceeing it. Great job with this, getting a hold of Stephen and working with him. Thanks for everyone for being in on the call. We're going to try doing more of these as we proceed further. Stephen, we got entry into all 4 of our races if you want to come back to run the famous Summer Sizzle or Skelton. We're going to try to have them in some way, shape, or form. All right, but Gary Burak, don't take away any prizes from him. And we've got some new swag for you that we'll send out to your way out in Connecticut.
Oh.
We'll send something to Shelby too.
All right, sounds good. Apparently, I've been in the need for a refresh of a Utica Roadrunner singlet for like 5 years.
Yeah, we've all noticed actually. So that's one of the reasons we're sending you something.
I'm trying to find it, but she thinks it's in the garbage. Oh, here it is. I don't know if you can see the tint of it.
Yeah, it's definitely gray.
Yeah, it was white.
It's white right there. Is probably sharing more than I should again. But yeah, I guess if I'm able to say like a parting word, yeah, thanks for everyone for coming and supporting us for the people putting this together. Thanks, Rick, for putting up with me and steering me back on course when I mess up in this interview. I can't wait to listen to it again. But just thank you to the Utica Roadrunners as a whole. Like I said, my formative running started in the Utica, with the Utica Roadrunners. My first run was the development run. A lot of what I've become as a runner has been because of the Utica Roadrunners, and they'll always be considered my hometown, my original group that I ran for. I still wear this singlet every once in a while, as long as I can stand the smell. It's on our dinner table right now. But yeah, so keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Stephen. That
Awesome.
was awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
I don't know.
Thank you, Stephen. We're proud of you.
Thank you.
Keep it up and good luck.
Thank you all. Have a good night. Like and subscribe below.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good job.
Thanks, Rick.
Hi, guys.